Good morning. I'm back again. This is Tyrone, and we're going to talk about Mr. Duggan and our position in this city. But before we do that, we have a guest, Joyce Moore, Miss Joyce Moore, and she's going to deliver a message to you all for some things that she observed that Mr. Duggan has not been uh, uh, treating us right and has been negative toward the people of Detroit. Joyce.
Great. Good morning, Tyrone. Good morning to the audience and everyone listening. I've been before you before in regard to the Community Development Block Grant Funds. And I've talked to you in regard to how the program was reprogrammed. In 2000, I think it was 12, when Mr. Duggan was initially elected, 2013, thank you, the funds changed so that what was once a grant to the people then became a zero interest loan. So basically, we were the last people that got the monies as a grant for roof, windows, and porches. And we applied based upon the fact that we were low to moderate income, it would remove the blight, and because, one, we had paid, I felt, entitled to the fact that we paid the highest taxes, and the city had not been reassessed in terms of property value. So having done that, we got 4 people to apply. 4 people got their roof, windows, and porches. And shortly after that, what was once given to us as a grant, Mr. Duggan was allowed to write a proposal, and HUD approved, as well as council members, and you need to know which council members they are, to change the grant money into a zero interest loan program. Now, initially, he allowed LISC, LISC, to manage the program, which was $11 million that was given to them to manage it the first year. I opposed that, and I presented that. I also said that, like in the last 2 years that I know of, he's gotten $6 million for the zero interest loan program and only 1.5 for the home repair program / senior services. I've asked and requested that Mr. Duggan take at least half of the money, the $6 million, again, our money, and put half of that into the home community development block grant program for home repairs. I keep hearing that there's no money, and I keep saying that there is money. But people have to step up. People have to call the office and say, Mr. Duggan, we need to take some of that money that you're giving for your zero interest loan program and put it in the community development program for people for home repair. Now, since I am a senior, and I wanted to add this to it, a lot of people don't know that as a senior, 45, I'm sorry, I wish it was 40, 65, a senior, 65, and you own your home, you are allowed to file exempt. A lot of people don't know that, and they should. From February 2nd to February 15th on the 9th floor, you can file exempt. I think since I turned 65, that's 4 years now, I've been filing exempt, and I tell people to do this. So those are the issues that I have concerns about, that is not getting out to a lot of people that have a need for that. And then just reverting back to Mr. Duggan, I am not opposed to Mr. Duggan. I am not for Mr. Duggan. But the monies that people are seeing spent, we see are being spent downtown, West Grand Boulevard going south, not West Grand Boulevard going north. And so given that, he talks about neighborhoods. Well, we haven't gotten a lot of money in our neighborhood, and we're right on the border of Henry Ford and West Grand Boulevard. So this is to the people out there. The budget is coming up in January. You need to be before council. I mean, I can't make you, but I'm suggesting, I should say, that you be before council and present that as an issue, that money, community development block grants, more money needs to be given out to the people. Thank you.
But what city council voted for that?
I don't know the members that voted for it, but it has to be at least 5 members that vote for it to pass. So people need to know who those 5 members are.
Okay. Since the election is by very close next week, I think we need to know who Mr. Duggan is. And Coleman did a very good job. And just the amount of time and those narrators regulating the show, a lot of things did not come out about Mr. Duggan. Mr. Duggan mailed out to the citizens of Detroit a scoreboard, and he talked about all the things he's done, such as lighting, And those things he has absolutely nothing to do with. Uh, Now the question is, how much power resides in the mayor of Detroit? Since 1996, power have seeped away from the city chief executive, who is the mayor. The mayor has few functions under his control. That is why there is few government jobs. They went from 20,000 and 642 in 2000 to less than 8,000 last year, city employees. So he has very little to do. Let me name some of the things that have seeped away. The water and sewage system has been turned over to the Great Lake Authority. He does not regulate that. Even in Detroit, we're supposed to be separate, but they regulate Detroit. Such as in 2015, when they want to raise the water rate, the city council voted no. They said, oh no, you got to vote yes, Great Lake Authority. And in less than a week, city council reversed itself and increased our water rates 5.33%. When you look at public lighting, he brags about public lighting. Public lighting has been under DTE since 2000 and I think 14, before he really got in office to do anything. Those lights were started under Bean. Those lights in the neighborhood is different from the lights downtown and in Midtown. Everybody throughout the neighborhood is driving with brights because those lights that so-called turn the lights on, they ain't turned on because they shine straight down and you can't see the next house. So that's why everybody's riding through the neighborhoods with their brights on. And so he didn't try to fix that either. And when you go on Schaefer and the roads he's talking about fixing and paving, you go on Schaefer and Puritan. They paved it and they didn't put no yellow lines so you'll know which side of the road you should drive on. They put two little dotted yellow lines and about 3 car lengths, 2 little dotted yellow lines. And at night, when people got their brights on, cars is dodging each other because they're almost running head on to each other. And Duggan hasn't did anything. That's an insult to the black community. The next thing, Belle Isle. He has nothing to do with Belle Isle. Belle Isle belongs to the state now. The zoo, it belongs to Zoology Authority in the suburbs. Cobo Hall, it's under authority, suburban primarily. Eastern Market, it's under authority with a Middle Eastern heads the authority. Detroit Institute of Art been gone since 1996. He has nothing to do with that, and then they spend it off they took all that of high-priced painting from us, just took it with the city council, predominant black city council's blessing. The Historical Museum has nothing to do with it. The Land Bank, when he got to be the mayor, he spent it off from the city. It's not no more of a city agency. It's a non-profit suburban agency. And the woman who has it make over 100, well, she makes 6 figures. And I understand most of them in there from the suburbs make 6 figures. They control the vacant houses and the vacant land. So Mr. Duggan has little to do with that. And lastly, collecting garbage and shoveling snow, trimming trees, cutting grass is privatized. He has nothing to do with that. They let him stand in front as though he's doing it, And when you look at his, and when you remember what I said about all those departments, he only has something to do with fire department and the police department and enforcing housing codes, which puts people out. And when Coleman Young mentioned about the population is still leaving, he said, oh, before bankruptcy, over 200,000 people left Detroit. But last year, only 3,000. That's a barefaced lie. In Detroit, in 2015, there were, let me round it off, there were 562,000 black people in the city last in 2015. 2016, in 1 year, 531,000 blacks. Over 31,000 blacks left. That's why he stopped and gagged, if you remember, when the question of population leaving. Look at the U.S. Census. You will see that his housing policy, while he studied, because his house, that's what he's in there for, to put us out of the city. And some young people was on 910 radio says, you know what? We're good to have Mary Duggan. Why? He's a white man. And that's when whites start coming in. I called in and told the young people they did not know. In 2011, when they got district council, that's when white Gilbert started not buying up property. City council started getting all the property. Duggan had nothing to do with the economic development, but they have him in front, saying he's breaking grounds. His whole program is Negro removal, and we'll talk more about that later, and maybe Kenny might have something to say on the matter.
How everybody doing? First of all, we have a great show today. We want y'all to stick with us. We'll be taking calls. We really need y'all to get out and vote the 7th, Tuesday, for the right person. A lot of people say Mayor Duggan is the right guy, but I don't know how they can say that with all he got going on with him and all that he's not doing for the neighborhoods. And I can't see how these blacks is supporting him, thinking that his ice is colder than our ice. Ice is ice, But we need all you young folks to get out and vote, and vote for the right person. If you want the city to come back, that's Coleman A. Young II. And put the right candidates in the city council, so when he get in there, he can have the support that he need to pass certain things. And like the young lady was saying, that Duggan turned around and took the loans, the grants that we was getting for our home, and turned them into loans. Where if a lot of people living in poverty, how can they get a loan? How can they pay the loan back? When they don't even have lights and running water in their home. So people need to pay attention to the things that's going on and not just say, Duggan is doing this, Duggan is doing that. It's sad that we say that. When are we going to stand up and stick together with one another and bring Detroit back for us and not for them? Thank you. I just wanted to say that, and I'm going to give it back to Tyrone.
Mr. Duggan, when he came to office, took office in 2014, he, coming for Livonia, was selected. He was not elected. He was selected by a crooked clerk and her deputy, Daniel Baxter, in a write-off. But when he came to office, he met with the federal district court judge, Sean Cox. When he met he met in the chambers, and 3 other white county executives from Oakland, Macomb, and Wayne County also met in that office. And they stole the largest water and sewer system in the country from black people. Here's how they did it. They, headed by Mike Duggan from Livonia, they wrote up what they call a memorandum of agreement. And those was the 3 county executives, Brooke Patterson, Heckle, and Chicano at that time, and Duggan. Duggan was the head man. And they wrote up what they call a memorandum of agreement and created the Great Lake Authority, making sure that the majority of the votes of the authority was going to be majority suburbians. Then they brought it to city council. Predominant black city council, political careers, oligarchs, rubber stamped it and took one of the largest and the most prosperous water system in the country. But let me show you how they did what they got from this. They asked a question in the Free Press of August the 9th, 2012. They wanted to know how much money floated through the Water and Sewage Department in Detroit. Here's the answer. Quote, for the fiscal year that ended June the 30th, 2011, the department took in $715 million in water and sewer rate revenue, about $2 million a day. Now, Mayor Duggan, Great Lake Authority, supposedly is paying $50 million to us when we were getting $715 million. And then they tell us what to do. And that is supposed to be because they're supposed to lease it for 30 years. That's not a lease. That's to ownership.
Yes, yes.
We don't control, they control. You remember I said when they wanted to raise their water rate and the city council voted, well, don't do it, 6-0. Then they told them you got to change it. So they control, control the whole shebang. Ownership is control. I got court cases tell you in the capitalist country what ownership is, and we don't own it anymore.
That's
Yet,
right.
though they tell us you got to take that $1 million and fix, like we are totally irresponsible, and fix your infrastructure, and we'll take the drain money and fix the other stuff in the suburbs. We're being robbed. This is a crime scene in Detroit.
Yes, yes. That sure is. You have anything?
Well, I would like to say in terms of that water, just switching gears because my issue, and I want to comment on that, is that Gary Brown, I have a very, very major concern about him being on the board and also on the board of the Great Lakes Water Authority. If it has to be a conflict of interest, because if you want to write a letter of grievance, if you write it to the water board, that's one thing. But if he's on the Great Lakes Water Authority, you really have no alternative because there's no solution there. And in regard to the poverty, anybody, and this is what I did research on when I did for Community Development Block Grant Funds, is that poverty threshold at one time was 15,000. Now it's 11,000. A 65-year-old making 11,000 is considered poor. That's your annual income. So if you have a zero interest loan program and you have $11,000 a year coming in, how can you apply for a loan to fix up your home when in fact You just barely have enough money to pay the bills for existence.
Yes.
That's by the federal guidelines, not
Yes.
by. So there's a poverty threshold that exists that I had already contacted HUD and asked them, why are you ignoring the poverty threshold in the city of Detroit? And they chose to ignore it.
Yes. Yeah. Very well said. So, we'll be taking calls shortly after the break. So we would like all the callers to hold on and be patient with us. And when we come back, we'll start taking calls and after the break.
To show you, we have been misled. I have here about this is a municipal proposition and amendments. This is what we voted on, and I started in the 40s. The plan to move out of Detroit started in the 40s. It had absolutely nothing to do with the riots of 67. They voted to go and extend the water system to unimproved land. At the same time, they start building freeways. 1957 to 1960, the west part of the Henry Ford freeway was finished long before the riot. The eastern part was from 57 to 1957 to 1965. The eastern part. Southfield Freeway also was built before 67. The Lodge was also built before 67. The only one that wasn't built before 67 was the Chrysler. So therefore, they had to move everything out of Detroit. They had to first build the freeway. When they finished with the freeway, then the votes, here it is. This is a document that you can get from city clerk on the voting history of Detroit. They voted in 1945 to furnish water outside of Detroit when the suburbs that we know now didn't even exist. It was unimproved land, grass and trees everywhere. Then they voted, these are majority white still in here. In November the 4th, 1947, SUI bonds restricted $30 million for 30 years. And they voted yes. 49 water bonds issued, 10 million. They passed it. $30 million in 59 for sewage. And in 60, 50 million. And they, Blondie and Dagwood, skipped town, left us with the bill. They couldn't have a suburb unless our tax money built those sewage and water. And you got black preachers and Reverend Holly at that, talking about no more entitlement. The suburbs was built on entitlement that we paid for. These are facts. When you look at the water, you had activists misled us. They raised the thing that water was a right. No, water wasn't a right. We own the system. We paid that money I just talked about for those pumps to pump the water out of the river. We paid for the chemicals to purify so we can drink. We paid for those pipes and sewer lines to the suburbs. We own the water system lock, stock and barrel. That's what should have been raised.
Yes.
That's what we must rescind what has been done. A crime has been done. And you have some actors walking around with a gallon of water going to say, love the people. They didn't love the people. I use what they say, I'm a senior citizen, 1,900 gallons a month. What would a gallon of water do for me?
Tell them, man.
So also the activists misled us, the community activists. Every last one, I don't know, none did not mislead us on that question. We should have been talking about ownership. So that's the water. I was reading John Gilliner talking about population. Duggan, he said that's not a good card for Duggan. And I think I just told you, 31,000 blacks in 1 year, last year, was forced out of the city. And I had some preacher told me, well, you know, people will move up to make themselves, improve themselves. Let me tell you something. That's the biggest lie that preacher could ever say. He don't know nothing about the labor movement. They used to work us around the clock, year in and year out. We had to fight for vacation. Mm-hmm. A man that's got a house, a job, he don't quit his job and close up his house, take his children out of school, and move to another city. He goes on vacation. So we were forced out through the housing policy of Mayor Duggan. And employment. They said, I had Reverend Holly, we got to get training. I think I told you last week. I went downtown. And when I went downtown, I seen dishwashers. And here's the main thing you see. That's what you hold on to. They are not bringing applications. What you see is the company move, and when the company move, is transport his own workers.
That's right.
Not no application.
That's right.
That's the way they built the suburbs. They took the factories out of the cities, and they transport the workers with the factory. In other words, they transport the market. They didn't say eat an elephant one bite at a time like they said they're going to open up business in the black community. That's a lie. The black community can no business can be open and save us as a people. I would speak about that later.
All right, y'all. We're going to take a pause, and when we get back, we're going to start taking calls. So hold on.
Okay, we're back on line. Let's go to the line and see who's on there. Hello? Oh.
Hello.
Can you speak up so we can hear you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, look, this Deputy Chief. Good morning to Ty and Joyce and Candleman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, look, for clarity, I'd like for Joyce Moore to explain. She said that she was not for or against Duggan. Well, what are you?
She's not on. She's not here, Amos. And
oh, okay. All right. We can move on then. Okay. when you mention those some of the folks from the community supposed to be leaders and grassroots advocates and this, that, and other, you're exactly right. There must be consequences imposed against these Duggan collaborators, okay? People need to look up the word collaborators and collaborationism, okay? We got Jim Holly, Malik Shabazz, Akila Redmond, Wendell Anthony, Bishop Mary, Bishop Coletta Vine, Benny Napoleon, Warren Evans, Kim Worthy, the Council of Baptist Pastors, Charlie Becker, Fannie Lou Hamer Group, Turnaround Detroit Group. That's Betty, what's her name? I come back to it. But you got 100 pastors, Edgar Van, Keith Stallworth, Alma Stallworth, Keith Johnson, Tyrone Carter, Bernice Smith, the East Side Slate, Ernest Johnson, Sonia Mays, the Shrine of the Black Madonna, Jim Jenkins. Hey, those are some of the people who are collaborators against the citizens of Detroit, the people.
Yes.
Now, what race of people do you know that will take sides with a group like that embrace a carpetbagger to come in and create an environment where your children and grandchildren will be in debt for 30 to 35 years? There is none in the world, okay? You got a Detroit City Council, 8 members, Brenda Jones, Janae Ayers, Cushenberry, Benson, Spivey, Tate, Leland, Sheffield, against the people, okay? They all need to be gone. And in the case of the aforementioned collaborators that support Duggan, we as people, as a community, should not help them do nothing.
Right.
I'm talking about Jim Holly,
That's
Shabazz,
right.
and all the rest of them. Because there is no way you can embrace this carpetbagger that have come in here, eliminated every program or reduced every program that was created to help the working people in Detroit, and then turn around and say, after the election, we have to come together. Who in the hell come together with a traitor to their own people? You got to be stupid.
Yeah, yes. That's what I'm saying, Chief. That's exactly
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, you can't do it. These folk are against our interests. Now, when you take for example, I want everybody to Google Crane Detroit business. Duggan re-election bid draws financial support from unusual quarters. Okay, here's the example. Blue Cross Blue Shield. This was a group that gave Duggan $116,198. DT Energy, $47,000. Hahnemann, Miller, and Swartz, those are attorneys, a law firm, $36,000. Miller Canfield, another attorney firm, $31,300. Quicken Loans, $31,004. The Michigan Regional Council of Carpenters, $20,000. J.P. Morgan, $18,000. General Motors, $12,700. Dickerson Wright, $9,500. The Detroit Regional Chamber, $5,000. Comerica, $6,000. UAW PAC, $5,000. The Red and Blue PAC, that's Clark Hill Law Firm, $4,000. Detroit Police Lieutenants and Sergeants, $1,000. Edsel Ford board member, Edsel Ford II, $6,800. Stroh's John Stroh, 6,800. Now everybody's talking about you can't park downtown because the parking lots are owned by the Indians. Okay, here you have Malik O'Hay, the owner of Easy Parking, $6,800. So when you have people contributing money like that to your campaign, do you think that Duggan have an interest, the interest of the people, or do he have the interest of corporate and business? This should tell you something. There is no way that we should be even entertaining the thought of giving Mike Duggan a second term. So I mean, this is just insane. And this fundraiser was given by Republicans, and they were from the west side, the east side of the state, and they can't even vote for Duggan. That should tell you something. That should tell you exactly what Duggan is. He is not a Democrat. He is a Republican.
Right.
So again,
Well, I don't know
for
the
these
difference.
black folks-
I don't know Amos. I don't know the
Yeah.
difference between a Republican and a Democrat. Look like both of them are the same to me.
Right. So I'm just saying, all these black folk in Detroit that have embraced Mike Duggan, I mean, come on, people. You got to look at these folks and call them out for what they are.
That's right.
I mean, you can't come to me talking about the new Black Panther Party, the new Marcus Garvey movement, the Pan-African movement, the Black nationalists, and embrace this white carpetbagger that's killing us.
Yes.
And then turn around and say, oh, this is love. This ain't no love. This is self-hate.
Right.
This
Yeah,
self-hate.
Amos, pardon me. You had talked to me earlier this week about the connection of the tax increment financing and the relationship to schools. I thought
Okay.
that was interesting.
Okay. Well, the tax increment financing, commonly known as TIF, T-I-F, everyone Google that, and you will see what it is, why it was set up, and I guarantee you will see that it was not set up to promote or help developers with their private projects like the Hudson Tower. That TIF program was set up in 1952 in California, okay? And it was set up for the redevelopment of the city's infrastructure and other community improvement projects, okay? Police stations, fire stations. It was designed to help improve the community, the neighborhood, okay? Well, here in Detroit, they're using it to promote Dan Gilbert's project. And Dan Gilbert project, anything within his district, and we don't even know the radius of his district, okay? I call it the footprint, okay? Everything that's in that, every business that's in the footprint of his development, he will collect the taxes that normally go to the city and the state. And he will collect those taxes for 30 to 35 years. That's where our children and grandchildren are put in debt. 30, 35 years, most of us will be gone. Okay? And then if there's a school in the district, okay, he can finance the school in that district with all kinds of finance, all kinds of money. Okay. And the schools outside of that district won't have nothing. You already see where the state, in 2016, July 1st, divided the Detroit public schools into two districts, DPS and the Detroit Public Schools Community District. Now, the DPS, you know what that is. That's us. That's the black people. We're responsible for $400 million in debt.
Amos, kind of wrap it up.
Yeah. The other district, the DPSCD, they have a clean slate. Those are the white folks. Okay? And so that's the bottom line. I mean, you can see what's going on here. You got this carpetbagger to come in here. They have created a system where, as Tyrone has been telling us all the time, a city within a city, and when they attack the schools, that's going to be the end of it. And you can see exactly what they're doing. They're coming after the schools, and we, as a black community, will be labored with the debt.
Yes. You know, we're going to speak about that next week, hopefully, in connection with the new superintendent talking about want to get Detroit public schools out of the business of authorizing and regulating charter schools.
Okay, and when you're on that side,
and we're going to talk about that later, but I got other callers, Amos.
Okay, real quick. When you look at the schools, the state school superintendent is what? White. Detroit school superintendent is what? White. The union president of the teacher DFT is black, but she relinquished all her power to what? The white union president of the AFT.
Certainly. Okay, we're going to have to get on, Amos.
Okay, man.
Okay, now.
Caller, go ahead.
Miss Clark here. How you doing, Tyrone?
Who is this?
Miss Clark.
Who?
Miss Clark. Okay, I just want to piggyback on the lady that was sitting there.
Miss Clark.
Who is that?
Hello?
Yeah, we hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. She was saying that the seniors, when they're 65 years old, that they can go get, I'm going to say it like this. She must be, it has to be, you have to be in the guideline of poverty to be able to get the exemption. With that being said, I've been telling this on Richard Harrison's show as long as you, Mr. Tyrone, been telling us about it was going to be a city within a city. You have to go every October, and it's on the 8th floor, and you have to have your insurance on your property, as well as your house got to be paid for. So I just wanted to just share that with you. And Tyrone, I thank you for doing what you have done for the city of Detroit.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
You have a wonderful day. Bye.
All right. Hello, you on the air?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm calling to let you guys know that I really appreciate all the information that you're sharing. I just have one question, and that is, if we can identify all of this crime being committed against us, what can we do? There's got to be something we can do.
That's the most important question, because after this election, when we come on, we're going to have a working type of dialogue to talk about and examine what we have been doing, what results have it been we got from it, and what and for everyone to kind of get in there and kick it in there. If they think we should lobby, if you think we should go to court is the way to struggle, or if you think we should organize ourselves in a mass movement and have force behind our demand, we should talk about that. But today we're not going to talk about it. But that's the very most important question. Not what they're doing, but what we're going to do.
Yes. Go ahead. You're on the air. Who are we talking with?
Hello, Tyrone.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Tyrone, I wanted to ask a question about what the lady said about the taxes for the 65 years old, the city county building, what floor you go on.
Uh, I forgot what she said. The the property taxes you go on 804. That's where you go. Room 804. Uh, uh, yeah, that's where you go. 804 is called real estate or something like that. But it's you go room 804 and you could get your papers for tax exemption.
Okay, okay. And I love y'all show, man. I love y'all show. It's a great
Thank you.
show.
Thank you.
And I know Tyrone. I know Tyrone pretty good. Yeah. So, brother, I like you. I like your history work and you know what you're doing, brother. Just keep it up, man. We're gonna put Coleman Young in office.
I hear you.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. I never voted for Doug in no way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
but we gotta come together, brother. We gotta come together.
We're gonna do that.
Yeah.
You know what
We're
I'm
gonna
saying?
talk about how we gonna come together. Without communication, we could never come together, and the activist movement never built our own network of communication throughout the community. But we have a plan for that.
But I want to share something real quick with you, brother.
Right.
You know what? We go around and we condemn one another, and all black people want is the same as every other race of people want. We want equal government. We want fair sharing. You know, that's all everybody else wants. And a lot of reason why people voted for Duggan, thought they could trust. They thought they could trust the guy. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's a white and black thing. I just think people thought he had a heart.
Okay, now.
It's not color. It's not about color.
Right.
It's about your heart and your mind.
Right.
You know, and if you don't have the right heart and the right mindset, these kind of things happen. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's what all black people wanted when they voted for Duggan.
Right.
They thought maybe because the city was in so bad of a shape before Duggan got in there, and even before that, and they thought maybe that this guy could really, you know.
Let me say this to you: we got a lot of people on the line. They thought wrong.
You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
but
So,
we learned by experience. They thought wrong.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for calling in. Go ahead. You're on the line. State your name.
Good morning, Tyrone and cameraman Raphael Robinson calling.
Hey, Raphael. How you doing? The man.
Excellent program. Just about everything you said is true. Duggan has privatized just about every revenue-producing department or activities that we had, every single one of them.
Yes.
And what you said about the water department, you're exactly on target. And there is some more to add, but I do not want to say it over the phone.
Right.
But he made all of these promises to these preachers. There's no way in the world he's going to be able to negotiate and drop those fees. And now they're coming after the residents. At first, Duggan said it wasn't going to involve the residents. So they're going to take pictures of our driveways, and I don't know what type of formula they're going to come up with, and then start charging us more for drainage.
Yeah, I got it. You know, this is Raphael. He was. You was over. What part of the water system you was at when you was with the city?
First of all, I did all the technical training for the water department when I came in, not only for the water department, for the state, and then my last job for 15 years, I was superintendent of meter operations division.
We're going to need your expertise.
Okay. I will certainly help. You know, when they wave that $50 million in our face, $50 million is nothing when you're running a multi-billionaire
Boy, ain't that a crime?
Huh?
Yeah, that's sad. That's sad,
It's a
Raphael.
crime.
Yeah.
That's a slap in the face from both sides.
But I tell you what now, our rates are going to go up. Suburban communities are going to skyrocket. At one time, when the rates went up in the suburbs, they blame it on them folks down there in Detroit. We know what they meant.
Right.
Now they're going to have to dig into their pockets to start making repairs because some of their structures are just about as old as ours.
Right.
But anyway, I'll get with you guys a little bit later.
All
Okay,
right. Thanks for
give me a
taking-
call.
Okay.
Go ahead, caller. Who we talking
I
with?
thank you for your show. You're talking to Michelle. I'm calling because I wanted to let the guy know about being tax exempt. You can even call. It'll be hard to get through to the city county building property division about being tax exempt and what guidelines do you fall under. And as far as the water rates go, they're going to be doing aerial shots of your property to see how much your water bill is going to be and where your water drainage is from. So they're talking about you need to go green. You need to have your water sprouts not going into the basement drains, but going into cut off and going off into the land and all of this mess. As far as being the housing grants go, the city county people did vote for them to be loans. So all those city county people you people are putting back in office, you need to rethink who you're going to replace them with,
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
along
Thank
with
you.
the mayor.
Thank you for
Because
saying that.
if it was a black mayor in office, they'd have him in jail right now.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I want to thank you for your show, and I also want to say I'm ashamed of all the ministers
Yes.
in Detroit.
Yes.
Every last one, just about every last one. I
Yes.
don't condemn them all, okay?
Yes.
Just about the majority. I
Okay.
don't care what religion they fall under, but because you won't come together to help the people in the true nature. All
Yeah.
you want to preach about is what you were told to preach about.
Thank you.
Prosperity.
Thank you.
Prosperity for you, not the people.
Yes. Well, thank you for
And
calling.
you're bringing them people in to speak to the people, and they don't have any of our interests at heart.
That's right.
None of them. All of you who bless those crooks and snakes, may God have mercy on you.
All right.
Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
you. All right, caller, go ahead. Go ahead.
Good morning, Tyrone and cameraman.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming back to us again. You know, I'm going to vote, although I don't trust the system. I think we are being guinea pigs in an experiment, but I'm going to vote anyway just to test it, see what happens. You know what I'm saying? And I'm voting for Senator Young. I just want to say thank you to the WHPR audience, too, for chiming in on the right side of these issues.
Yes.
Shows like yours and Theo and Colin Hassan, the phones are off the hook.
Yes.
Melissa Bass and Reverend Holly, they have to go outside, send somebody outside with a sign saying, please call us. Because the audience here at WHPR has spoken, and we will, even after this election, like Tyrone, I think you said last week, we need a movement, a continuous
We
movement
got to have it.
to push agendas
Yes.
and that represent us, our best interest. So
You-
thank you again. And Tyrone, you left your number last week. I'm trying to call you and send you
You got it?
some change to help you with your programming.
Do you have it?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Okay.
You may want to give it again in case somebody else wants to help with keeping you on. the
Yeah, I
show.
will. I will.
All right. Peace and love, brothers.
Peace and
Okay
love.
now.
All right, caller, go ahead.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi. Hi, this is Joyful. I was just on the air, and I just want to stand corrected. You're right. It's room 824 if you want to file exemption for property taxes. And it is a guideline for income which is under $44,000, and that's what it was last year. I'm not sure what it, in case they change it, but the room number is 824, not the ninth floor. So I do stand corrected. I'm glad people are listening, and that just, that's great. Great. Continue to listen. Thank you so much.
Okay
You're
now.
welcome. Thank you for calling back, too. We're going to take a couple of more calls, but we just want folks to listen and pay attention what's going on. You're getting the information right here from Tyrone Travis, all that's going on in the city and all that Duggan is not doing and those that say he is doing. So we need y'all to come together and vote November the 7th, put the right people in, and let's take this city back to, for us, the neighborhoods, and start building our neighborhoods for us, and not just downtown. We already know we need a downtown, but what about the people that stayed here when everybody else left and took on all this responsibility? So people, listen what's going on. Pay attention, and don't go for the Kool-Aid that they feeding you. We're gonna take some more calls. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi, Tyrone.
Hi.
Okay, I want to know where do I send a donation to you to keep you on the air?
You can send it to. I'm gonna give you. You got my telephone number?
No, I don't.
Okay, here's the telephone call. Give me a call. It's area code 313
313
721
721
8384.
8384.
That's it. Give me a call. And who am I talking to?
You talking to Catherine?
Oh, okay,
I
Catherine.
you with the mature worker program, remember?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Okay then.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
We see the people are hungry for the truth, and that's what Tyrone shows bring, the truth. And we'd like for y'all to keep calling in, keep watching.
I hear somebody.
All right, caller, you on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Dee Dee. How you doing? You guys are telling the truth. This show is amazing, Candleman and Tyrone.
Thank you, Dee Dee.
Thank you.
Okay, may I announce the rally that Senator Young is having next week?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, it's going to be next Monday, the day before the election. We need to come out. WHPR, you guys have been coming out to the events and showing up in an amazing amount. It's going to be at Solomon's Temple next Monday between 6 and 8 p.m. The address is 2426 East 7 Mile. That's between Conant and DeQuinder. And the zip code is 48234. That's Solomon's Temple. There's no charge. We just want to have a rally. Take back the motherland.
Okay.
That's what it's named.
Yes, yes.
Why? I got to find out. I have to ask you, gentlemen, two things real quick. One, why are they so upset when they say take back the motherland? I was watching a program called Cake Wars food program, and they were talking about Italy, and they called it the motherland. Why is it if we say the motherland, it's a big problem?
I hear you.
Yeah, it's sad. You know, it's the same when we speak on the white race, then we using the race card. I don't understand that one.
But it's another thing when you invade it, you change the culture, and now Kid Rock have replaced Marvin Gaye.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Last thing, I'd like to thank my grandbabies. We went out this past Saturday on Harper and Outer Drive. We had about helium balloons and a 5-foot by 5-foot picture of Senator Young, and we gave out over 500 pieces of literature to the people driving over there with that BP station. And we only had like 3 people that were not receptive to the literature for Coleman Young, and for them to see 20-year-olds out there working, that was really great.
Yes.
Thank you, Dee Dee. We appreciate everything you do.